Welcome back to Packs and Picks, everyone. I've got our first sealed pool here for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I spent some time with the cards in our first pool, built the deck, and I'm going to walk through some of my thoughts as I went through the deck building process and show you the deck that I ultimately ended up with. So let's dive right in. First things first, as we've seen with play boosters so far with Murders at Karlov Manor, lots of rares and mythics in the sealed pool. We had a ton of mythics too in this sealed pool, some of which we'll see as we go through the deck build. But one I wanted to point out was Simulacrum Synthesizer. This one I do like the look of a lot, but just didn't have enough enablers in the pool overall to make this make the cut. So this one didn't make it this time around, but I do hope to play with it in the format at some point. And then before we jump into anything, I wanted to point out our mana fixing. So we got a Braided Bluffs, Forlorn Flats, Mirage Mesa. So looking to see black, white, white, red. Is there some combination of Mardu colors that we end up with in the pool because we have these mana fixing options? At least maybe we get a splash off of one of these. So keeping this in mind as we go through our sealed pool build. So the first thing I wanted to do was start with black. As we open up the packs, we got a lot of black rares or multicolored cards that had black in them. So I started with black just to see what we had to work with, and I'll lay that out for you right now. All right, so we did have a couple other black cards, but these were the highlights for me that I think I would want to put in my deck. One of the rares that we had was Caustic Bronco. So 2 mana 2/2 has that Dark Confidant-like ability where when it attacks, look at the top card of your library, you put it in your hand, lose some life, but if it's saddled, your opponent loses life instead. So Caustic Bronco, like the look of that. We also had Karavek the Punisher. So 3 mana 3/3. When we commit a crime, we get to copy a black card in our graveyard and cast it, of course paying some life to do so. So we get some recursion from our spells in our graveyard. And then our third rare that we had access to was Rush of Dread. So one of our spree cards that lets us make our opponent sacrifice creatures, discard their cards, lose their life. So really flexible options in Rush of Dread here. Maybe even being able to buy it back with Karavek the Punisher. So those are our 3 black cards. We also have some good interaction in the form of Skullduggery, 2 copies of Skullduggery. Just a really innocuous looking card, but gives you a lot of good opportunities to make combat or other situations really work in your favor. So I really like Skullduggery for how flexible and innocuous it looks. So that's kind of the black base that we have to work with. The next thing I wanted to do is look for some way to offset a little bit of the life loss that some of our cards are giving us. So Caustic Bronco and both Karavek are making us pay life. And so I immediately went to white to see if we could recoup some of that life loss in that color. And I do like a lot of what white has, and we'll show you what we've got working with here. So the first thing, another one of our mythics was Pest Control. I don't know if I would start this in the deck, but I would keep it in the sideboard absolutely for if we have any opponent that's running the Mercenary deck or has a lot of 1-drops, something like that. So Pest Control is an option for us out of the sideboard. Other than that, though, we've got some other good cards in white. Lay that out here. All right, sorry, my 2-drops are kind of falling off the screen here, but we'll talk about them. So one thing that we had, Ariet's Lullaby. So we have several of these in the pool, and destroy target tap creature at sorcerer speed. You know, it's not that great, but that extra 2 life can help us offset from that hit we just took from the attack, or helps us offset some of the life loss from Caustic Bronco. We also had 2 Take Up the Shield, so +1/+1 and Indestructible. That'll definitely be relevant here in a moment. And then we had a Collector's Cage is another one of our mythics that we're able to put in the pool if we go into white. So 2-mana artifact with Hideaway lets us get some counters out there, beef up some of our creatures, and hopefully eventually get a free card out of the deal. So that's what we've got from white. One of the things that I don't like about the white version of this deck is that it is a little creature light, and the creatures that we do have, they're not super impactful. So we don't have that big card or big creature that's going to help push us over the finish line. Maybe the Ambush Gigapede can help us get there, but with 2 toughness, it's kind of hard to push us over the finish line. We do have a couple Take Up the Shield, so we can that'll help us keep those creatures around a little bit longer with the Indestructible. but I wanted to look and see if there was just something else that we could do with the pool that felt a little more resilient. So I went ahead and kept the white and ditched the black and see what green-white actually looks like, because in green, we've got a little more beefy creatures, a little more options, I think, to finish the game in a green-white build. So we'll keep the green around, or the white around, and we'll take a look at what a green-white build looks like. All right, so get some green cards in here. Lay those out now. All right, so what do we get when we add in green? So first thing, we'll talk about the top end. We get the Spinewoods Armadillo. So 6 mana, 7/7 with reach. So definitely more impactful than the Gigapede. And also, if it gets stuck in our hand early, we do have an option to discard it if we feel like it. We also get a rare. We don't give up all of our rares. We get a Seraphic Steed. So 2 mana, 2/2 first strike lifelink. I really like this card because the first strike really helps it get through in the early game. And as it starts to get outclassed, we can start to saddle it. Maybe make 1 angel creature token, 2 if we get lucky. So Seraphic Steed coming in there. We also have the Congregation Griff, which 1/4 flying lifelink, not super impressive on its own. Cares about mounts though, which we've got the Seraphic Steed. We've also got the Drover Grizzly, which I like. Also gives our creatures trample, so it can help us maybe push through those last few points of damage if we need that. We also get some good interaction spells in green, like Snakeskin Veil. Give your creature hexproof, make it a little bit bigger. Trash the Town is also a great card, a card I really like a lot. So super flexible card in green that I like here. And then also, we've got a few options to do a splash. So by being in white, we still get access to either a red splash by bringing in something like Abraded Bluffs, or Forlorn Flats for a black splash. And in the basic version of the deck, I'm going to go ahead with the Abraded Bluffs and bring in a Cactus Folk Sure Shot. So a 4-power creature that cares about other 4-power creatures, which we do have a few in the pool. And then also a Trick Shot. So 5 mana, deal 6 damage to a target creature. Maybe we snipe a token, but really this is here as just another way for us to interact with a big creature of our opponents. We did have a decent amount of red burn spells in the pool, but I didn't put a cheap one in this as a splash because I didn't want to have to rely on getting that burn spell early on. So I feel like Trick Shot will be there waiting for me in the late game. And that's the deck there. So like I said, we do have an option out of the sideboard. If we want, we can swap out the red splash for a black splash, and that gets us things like Pest Control. So if we do find ourselves up against the Mercenary deck that's beating us down, we could swap out the red splash, bring in Pest Control, bring in maybe one of our impactful black cards for the build. But that's the deck right there. Let me know your thoughts on this final green-white version of the build. Did you like the black-white version better? Do you like something else in the pool that I didn't cover? Let me know your thoughts, and let me know your thoughts on the format as we've started off here in Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And of course, stick around because there's going to be more pack openings and more sealed deck builds to come. I'll see you soon.